Welcome to e-learning Nuggets channel. Hello everyone. Today we're going to learn about generations of computers. Computers have evolved over a period of time. What do you mean by the word generation? See, when we say generation, we tell our forefathers' generation, our grandfather's generation, our father's generation. So what has happened over the period of time? People have changed, people have made different equipments and things like that to do betterment in their lives. Like that, computers also has been over a period of development has been happened in both hardware and software of computer. So that is known as generations of computers. Broadly, generations of computers are divided into 5 generations: first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation, and fifth generation. So we are going to talk about each of this generation today. So let us look at the first generation of computers. First generation of computers was between 1945 to 1959. So here vacuum tubes were used extensively for operations. So vacuum tubes are nothing but it's a sealed glass tube in which all the gas is removed and vacuum is created, and electricity or electric path was made inside this tube. So it acted as a switch so that one end was connected to the positive side and another to the cathode or the negative side, and the bulbs were lighted up. So this was the technology that was used in first generation computers. And magnetic drums were used for memory. So if you can see this picture here, this is the vacuum tube and this is a magnetic drum. So the magnetic drum is a metal cylinder and it is coated by a metal iron oxide. This was used for data storage. And punch cards were used for input and output. Punch cards are nothing but it's a stiff paper is taken and holes are made in those paper, and it is used, and the data was coded in this punch cards. It was used for input and output. So mainly it was used for input, and nowadays like we are using keyboards, but those days they were using punch cards. And these systems which were made in the first generation, it was very huge. It was not portable. Portable means you cannot carry the computer from one place to another. Nowadays computer, if you see, we have the laptop, the palm top, and all the wearable computers also, where we are just taking the computers and taking it to whichever place we want, and we are even wearing it on our wrist to see how it is working and things like that. But the first generation computers were very massive. It was occupying nearly 2-3 rooms of space, and it was definitely not portable. And low level languages or machine languages were used during this time. What do you mean by low level languages? It was only, since it was just made up of electronic circuitry, it was mainly like input output it was done on punch cards, and this low level language was just zeros and ones. That is, the on and off was only coded in these systems. So it was very difficult when you are coding in ones and zeros, because it was very difficult to find errors in this particular language, and it was very slow. Of all these things, it was very slow. So which are the systems that were computers which were developed during this time was ENIAC, EDVAC, and UNIVAC. So I will just briefly tell you about all these 3 computers which was developed during the first generation. So these are some of the components of the first generation. You can look at there. The magnetic tapes was used for data storage, the punch cards, and the vacuum tubes. The first generation computers actually came during 1945, when the Second World War was just ending up. So it was used for the US Navy for ballistic charts. It was called as Mark I. It was an electronic relay calculator more than a computer. But the world's first computer which actually came into being was the ENIAC. ENIAC stands for Electronic Numerical Integrator and Calculator. It was done by a person named as John Presper Eckert and John McElea at the University of Pennsylvania. It was a general purpose computer, and it used 18,000 vacuum tubes and 70,000 resistors and innumerable capacitors, and it weighed 28 tons. Can you imagine 28 tons? It was not as what we see the computers where we are carrying from one room to another room. It was definitely not possible to carry 28 tons. So it was very huge, and it consumed lot of power, and it generated lot of heat. So these tubes I will just show you in this picture, the next picture. Can you see here? This is ENIAC, the world's first computer. You can see how big it is, how much room it is occupied, and these are the vacuum tubes. Yes, and here if you see these circuitries, there are so many tubes and so many machineries there. Even if one vacuum tube used to burn out, it used to give a lot of problem. So this was a major fault of this particular computers. Next we talk about EDVAC. EDVAC is electronic discrete variable automatic computer. This design was proposed by a person known as von Neumann. Okay, von Neumann gave a very important concept called as stored memory concept and conditional transfer. So his architecture looks something like this, with the input output device, and in between you had this memory and processing unit as a single unit. Even today this particular system is being used in our computers. This particular architecture is known as Neumann's architecture. So this is a picture of EDVAC. So computers became more flexible with this arrangement. The next commercially available computer was known as UNIVAC. UNIVAC stands for Universal Automatic Computer. So UNIVAC was used in business organizations, and it used just 5,000 vacuum tubes. So from 18,000, within a span of 5-6 years, they reduced the size of the computer, and it could be used in some organizations, and it weighed around 17 tons. So this is the picture of UNIVAC. So you can see UNIVAC, where Eckert and Macaulay, who also invented UNIVAC, they are who are the inventors of ENIAC, they are working on it, and this is some of the parts of the UNIVAC system. Now let us talk about the second generation of computers. Second generation of computers was between the year 1960 to 64. So this generation saw a lot of improvement in the field of computers, because John Bradin, Walter Brattain and William Shockley invented the first working transistor in Bell Labs. So with the advent of transistors, the size of the computer became very, very small, and it became more reliable and more fast. And the magnetic core was used for main memory, and magnetic tape and disks were used for secondary memory. Punch cards were still used for input, and you had assembly languages were developed. Assembly language is nothing but a language which contained both mnemonics as well as numbers. It was not only zeros and ones. So it was much more easier to code in the assembly language, and along with it, the assembler, it was also developed to convert this particular assembly language into high level language. And early versions of high level languages like COBOL, Fortran and all was started developing during this generation, and IBM, Honeywell and many other computer companies started using the second generation computers. Now the main hardware that was used was the transistors. So you can look at the transistors here. This was a transistor that was used. And what is a transistor? It's a semiconductor device which is made up of silicon or maybe germanium, which is used as for as an amplifier or a switch for electrical power. So you can see the different pictures here. So these are the magnetic tapes. This is the data processing system. This is the transistors. This transistors is what we use for our do it yourself nowadays projects. They give you these transistors to use, but these are the transistors that were used in the computers, and they are now all fabricated into on the motherboard. Third generation computers. So this saw a new advent. Actually, it was made by integrated circuits came into being. It was done by a person called as Jack Kilby. So he made all these transistors, resistors, capacitors, everything. He put it onto a single chip, and he called it as an integrated circuit. So it contained hundreds of transistors, resistors, capacitors into one chip. So what was the outcome of this? The speed of the computer became very high, it became more reliable, effective, and it was also cost effective, became more cheaper. So doing ICs, the cost of the computer reduced drastically, and also the operating systems were able to do multi-programming. See, the earlier generation and second generation of computers, mainly they used batch processing. What do you mean by batch processing? You had a set of commands which were sent to the OS together. But here they were able to do multi-programming. That means many programs were able to run on the OS. Okay, and here another important development which happened in this generation was, for the input there were keyboards, not your punch cards, and for the output you had monitors, which you see nowadays, and not your other printouts and things like that. So this was a very major development that happened during this generation, and nearly 100 high level languages were developed, like COBOL, Fortran, Pascal, C, C++. There were so many languages that were developed. What do you mean by high level languages? High level languages are English like languages. So the coding, anybody who had a very good logic, could analyze things, could easily learn these languages and use it in the computer. And some of the systems that were developed was IBM series, they had 360 series, PDPs were done, and Honeywell 6000 series were all developed. So you can look here, this is the integrated circuit which was developed during the third generation computers. These are the circuits that we are having now. You can see everything, the ICs are all put into one, they are fabricated, many ICs are present on the motherboard like this. This is a desktop computer, this is the IBM mainframes that you see. Now talking about the fourth generation computers, now they had one IC, they thought, okay, let us put thousands of ICs, then millions of ICs, billions of ICs into one integrated circuit. So this became the very large scale integrated circuits. And there was the development of the microprocessors. So these were known as microprocessors, where all the capacitors, billions of capacitors, resistors, transistors were all fabricated as one chip, and this microprocessor could act as your CPU. It was one CPU which was known as the microprocessor, and it increased the speed and the effectiveness of the computer tremendously, and also it became very, very cost effective. And during this time networking developed. What do you mean by networking? Networking is when you are sharing the resources over different computers, that is known as networking. And with the development of networking, the development of internet also happened. So I think internet, all of you know how much information and how much details about every topic in the world we get through the internet. So that development happened during this generation and still happening. Yes, and many computers were also developed during this generation. You can see these microprocessors. Many companies like Intel, AMD, all these manufactured these microprocessors for our use. So you can have a look at these microprocessors. So I have just given the definition here. A microprocessor is an electronic component that is used for a computer to do work. It is a CPU fabricated on a single IC chip. It contains millions, and nowadays it is actually billions, okay, billions of small components, including transistors, resistors and diodes, which all work together to give you the best computer in the world. Yes, and next, the fifth generation, which is happening now and which is going to happen in the future, is your fifth generation of computers. Computers that are based on artificial intelligence. Most of you would have seen the movie Robo, and so many movies, English movies have come in depicting artificial ET, and many movies which are coming and which keeps coming on these things. Yes, so where the machine is going to talk to us. Yes, so artificial intelligence is there, it is still on the development stage, and it works on parallel computing and logic programming. It is having ULSI. ULSI is ultra large scale integration. It uses optical fiber for communication, and it is having a huge storage, and its multimedia is also improved drastically, where it is going to give you a real effect. So tomorrow you may have to really think whether it is you are talking to a man or a machine. So all this happens in this fifth generation, which is still going to happen, and I'm sure as you are going to learn more about computers, you may be developing all these things much more than us. Yes, and this, if you see here, this pictures here, so these are some of the pictures that I've gotten. So where you are actually seeing where the computer, this is the computer, is having a connection with the person here. And if you see this particular lady, she's having some machines inserted in her. They are also known as cyborgs, which is a very big theme that's happening out there, where the human beings are also put in with some computer parts to have both the machine and the humans features. Yes, all this is happening, and there's machine learning where the machine is able to recognize your commands without you actually telling them anything. So this is a very huge field which has been yet to be, I mean, it has been explored, and there is a lot to learn from here. Hope all of you are becoming all the AI experts in the future. And this is all the brief knowledge about the generations of computers. So with a quick review, I would like to just tell you, first generation used vacuum tubes, second generation used transistors, third generation used ICs, fourth generation saw the development of microprocessors and VLSIs, and fifth generation is mainly on artificial intelligence. So as far as your first PU exams are concerned, they may ask you like what are the components used in each of these generations, and they may also ask you the important features of these generations. So at least two to three features, be aware of it. They may ask you explain the second generation computers or first generation computers. You may get a few questions on it, or when was the high level language developed, during which generation, or name any two high level languages, which was the component used in second generation computers, which was the component used in first generation computers. So these are some of the questions that will be used, that will be taken as far as your first PU portions are concerned for the board exam. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like this video, please share and subscribe. Thank you once again.